How's it going, everyone? This is my new talk channel. So I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining the video I have for you today. If you haven't seen it, you will not believe this story, but it turns out the story is true. So we're going to check out this TikTok video of this guy telling his story about what happened between him, his wife. All I'm gonna tell you is that it's a DNA story, right? And how he found out, it's crazy. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment down below and tell me if you expected this. All right. I will also explain later one other detail about this story. What you need to know is that the story is true. All right. Let's get into the video.
A few years ago, my oldest daughter had to take a DNA test for school just to figure out ancestry. During the DNA test, she came to me very, very sad because apparently me and her were not related. I was like, huh? When she told me this, I had to keep a straight face because the immediate shock was just wild. Then I decided to go with her to get a paternity test done. When we got the paternity test done, it was also concluded that I was not her father. At this point, I was shocked.
Just like you heard, his daughter had to take some, I don't know, ancestry test, and he found out that he was not the daughter's father. So the daughter basically told him that he was not her father, and she was sad about that. All right. And then he went on to go and have a DNA test himself.
It was also concluded that I was not her father. At this point, I was shocked. I've had 4 kids with my wife, and she was the oldest, and I needed to see how far this rabbit hole went.
Sorry, wait. Let's go back a bit.
To go with her to get Then I decided to go with her to get a paternity test done. When we got the paternity test done, it was also concluded that I was not her father. At this point, I was shocked. I've had 4 kids with my wife, and she was the oldest, and I needed to see how far this rabbit hole went. I told her to not let her mother know that we know this information, and then I went to my next oldest child, not mine. I went to the one below that, not mine. And then I decided to stop there because the youngest child is so young that this may directly affect them, and they don't really understand what's going on anyway. So I didn't even want to go into that rabbit hole, but when I got the information, I immediately was like, let me go talk to my wife about this. So, like always,
So you get the story now. This guy is married. He has 4 kids with his wife. All right. The eldest daughter was the one who had to get an ancestry test, which she told she told her dad about, and then he went on to do a DNA test, and then they decided not to tell the mother. Fine. And then he decided to go test the second child, the second oldest child, not his. The third oldest child, the third child, not his. At this point, he decided not to have a DNA test for the youngest kid because he felt like, he knew the other kid was too young, and this was going to affect them more somehow. I don't know. I feel like it affects them the same. I would argue that the younger one would stand a better chance of forgetting about him than the older kids, right? And then he approached his wife.
I immediately was like, let me go talk to my wife about this. So, like always, she didn't take responsibility or any type of accountability, and she said, how are you going to believe your wife over these tests? I was like, are you serious? Are you like, for real? Like, is this...
I think he meant, how are you going to believe your tests, these tests over your wife? How are you not going to believe your wife and believe the tests? I think that was a mistake.
Are you your wife over these tests? I was like, are you serious? Are you like, for real? Like, is this really where you're going to go with this? Then she starts crying profusely and saying it was only one time. I didn't mean to do it. And I was like, it was only one time. Hey. And then I showed her that each one of the children aren't mine, with the exception of the youngest, as so I think. That's when it dawned on me that it was one time, multiple times. And then when we looked, each one of the children's had
Now, see, she said it was only one time. These people have 4 kids. How is it one time when 3 of the kids have been proven to not be his? I mean, at this point, we can assume all the kids are not his. It was only one time, so one time for this kid, one time for this kid, one time for this kid. And I believe he goes on to say that let me not spoil it.
When it dawned on me that it was one time, multiple times, and then when we looked, each one of the children's had different baby fathers, and somehow that made it even worse because it wasn't just one person you was cheating on me with. This is a habitual thing with multiple different people that you probably don't know about. And I'm taking care of their kids. They're my kids. They're my kids. I've raised each and every one of them from a super young age, and they stood by me through this whole situation. But to think that she's not who she says she was, because up into that situation, I thought we had a great marriage. I thought we had a great life. I thought everything was going good. I thought that we were building together and already have built together. She is a stay-at-home mom that works on things that she wants to do. She takes care of the kids. She cooks, she cleans, she does everything that's needed inside of the relationship with me. Yet she didn't tell me that she wanted to go outside of the marriage. She didn't tell me that she wanted to do anything. Anyway, after finding out the information and getting her side of this,
I feel like it's foolish for him to say she didn't tell him that she wanted to step outside, as if he was going to be okay with it. Also, how would she do that? How do you even go to your partner and say, I want to step outside, I'll be back? How does that work? I would like to know.
story, I let her know I would need a couple of space. So I had rented a hotel for a couple of days and I stayed in it. I stayed away and it was all right. It was good, but I really missed my kids and I wanted to see them. So after a couple of days, I was back inside of the house, but I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't say anything to my wife. I didn't speak to her. She would try to talk to me and I would look away. I would take care of the kids. I would grab the kids, take them to the mall, do different things with them. And everything was I was just trying to figure things out. I was just trying to see how I could make our relationship work or see if I need to separate and just take the kids myself. Like I didn't know what to do, if I had any like legal rights to these individuals. Yeah, my name's on the birth certificate, but I'm not biologically theirs. I just wanted to figure things out, but I didn't even get that.
That's another thing. His name is on the birth certificate. I believe in America that means you're the father. Either way, even if the DNA test comes back negative. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen in multiple videos where they say you're still liable for child support and those kind of things. I don't know how that works. Someone please explain it to me.
That chance, because 6 days ago she decided, other than taking any type of responsibility, to have a hangout session with the chandelier. They went, like, make our.
Now, here's the part that got me. Right? The way he said it, and just the way he said it, told me that this story was not true. But trust me, the story might be true. I will tell you why. This part.
Just trying to see how I could make our relationship work or see if I need to separate and just take the kids myself. Like I didn't know what to do, if I had any like legal rights to these individuals. Yeah, my name's on the birth certificate, but I'm not biologically theirs. I just wanted to figure things out, but I didn't even get that chance, because 6 days ago, she decided, other than taking any type of responsibility, to have a hangout session with the chandelier. And I'm so happy I have my kids, because I just don't know what I would like. It's just baffling to me. Because the whole time, even with evidence, she just kept denying and denying and denying and denying. And I don't know if I did something wrong. I don't know if I was never supposed to know in the first place. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want to not have my kids not to have their mother. A few years ago, my oldest daughter had to take a DNA test for school.
That's the story. Now, after seeing the video, especially the part where he said she decided to have a hangout session with the chandelier. I decided to go to his page, his TikTok page, and I found out that he takes Reddit stories and he acts them out. So these stories are basically true. He's just telling them. Now imagine that happening to someone. Imagine being married to someone for years, you have 4 kids, and all the kids are not yours. When you ask, your wife says, it was only one time. So one time for each guy, because all these kids have different fathers. Now your name is on the birth certificate. You're responsible for those kids, whether you want to or not. You know, there are people who could say that they're not my kids. I'm just gonna give them to her family and move on with my life. I mean, I would also understand that anyone would be hurt, right? Anyone would want to step away from that situation, even though they will still think about it. They will still have those feelings to deal with. But we don't deal with situations the same way, right? So this is part of the reason I also believe that DNA testing should be mandatory. And like Maury said in MTR's video, the conversation they were having, that Maury said he would like it to be, did he say available? I think he said he would like it to be available, right? You have that option if you have doubts. Not to say, well, he didn't exactly say, not to say it should be mandatory, but people should have that option. It should be available for people to do it. That's also a good option, you know? This is really a sad story, man. I think I'll be reacting to a lot of this guy's stories because they are Reddit stories, and I think at this point we know that a lot, if not all of the Reddit stories, especially personal stories, are real. They're real life stories. So stay tuned. Tell me what you think about this story. I'll check you in the next video. Jovic.